In Israel, the entire population of the Zionist regime is criminal. And that is not only supported by religious logic, but also by the Geneva Convention. You see what the Geneva Convention says? That if an entity occupies another land and brings in its civilians to populate that land, that occupied territory, then these civilians will be legitimate targets of the resistance. Now, apparently these people look like civilians, but they're not civilians.
No, technically, they're not civilians.
They're
because
an occupying force.
They're coming to occupy land.
Yes, if they had been forced to come here, if they had if they had been coerced, then maybe we could debate the topic. Zionism is basically ethnocentric and egocentric Judaism, which is in complete contrast to actual Judaism.
So it's pure like Judaism, if you
the
want
pure
to call
Judaism. We're talking about a cabal within the Jewish nation, which kind of covertly infiltrated into the Jewish nation, and they had no belief in God or in the divine values of the Old and New Testaments or in any other scripture. These were people who created obstacles for the Prophet Musa himself, for the other prophets. These are the people who used to oppress and persecute the prophets. These are the people who always had this ideology that we are the chosen nation and even God cannot do anything against us. That we are the superior, extremely supremacist, like Hitler, let me say this, Hitler and fascism and the Nazi regime, they kind of completely, they're babies in front of this kind of a historical, super racist ideology. And if you look at the crimes perpetrated at other places in the world, and you kind of reverse engineer the blame, and I'm talking about the genuine crimes that are happening in different areas of the world.
Right.
If you reverse engineer the blame, if you reverse engineer the fault behind this entire conflict, you again reach the Zionist establishment. These are tentacles of the same octopus.
This satanic project, as you had
satanic
once said.
project, exactly.
Right.
So if the Islamic Republic and if the Islamic Revolution under the leadership of Imam Sayyid Ali Khamenei, Hafazahullah, if they focus on a geopolitical level on Palestine, they are in fact indirectly protecting and preserving and fighting for the rights of all of these flashpoints throughout history. They're fighting for the rights of the African American people, even though the African American people might not realize this. They're fighting for the rights of the native indigenous American people, even though these people might not realize this. They're fighting for the right of the indigenous people in Canada and in Australia, in South America, even though these people, because of that media censorship that we have internationally, they don't realize this. Fighting Israel is fighting for the sake of the soul of the entire humanity. For example, in the Lord of the Rings, right? If that central tower is destroyed, then the entire network of that evil will kind of fade away. That is the position that Israel has within the global Zionist project of oppression and exploitation and of destroying nations and their identities